Welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be talking about the top 10 events that would end the world. But before proceeding further, we request you to subscribe to our channel to support us, so we can create more content for you, and don't forget to click the link below after watching this video for amazing deals. So, without any further delay, let's begin this wonderful adventure. Number 10. Biotech terrorism. Well, that's true. It's what we've all seen in Hollywood thriller movies are made of a massive attack killing millions using a virus, bacteria, or toxins that contaminate our air, water, or food chain. In other words, bioterrorism. If this thing gets loose, there is no safe place. The Ebola virus, 11,000 deaths in 11 African countries over 2 years, and it still remains one of the deadly viruses till now. Because there is no vaccine found for Ebola, now this year we are facing COVID-19. But it's not easy to turn this into a weapon. You need sample and access to high-tech labs to make it. But all the high-tech labs are in control of the U.S. government. But falling into wrong hands can end the world, and there will be no safe place. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9. Global warming. For 2.5 million years, the Earth's climate has fluctuated. Cycling from ice ages to warmer periods in the last century, the planet temperature has risen unusually about 1.2 to 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists believe that it's human activity that's driving the temperature up, a process known as global warming. Ever since the Industrial Revolution began, factories, power plants, and cars have burned fossil fuels, such as oil and coal, releasing huge amounts of carbon dioxide and other toxic gases into the atmosphere. These greenhouse gases trap heat near the Earth through a naturally occurring process called greenhouse effect. The Arctic Sea is also shrinking. According to NASA studies, the extent of Arctic sea ice has declined about 10% in the last 30 years. As long as industrial nations consume energy and increase fossil fuel, the concentration of greenhouse effect continues. Now let's move on to number 8. Number 8. Black holes. Our galaxy is full of black holes. Collapsed stellar corpses just a dozen miles wide. How full? Tough question. After all, they're called black holes for a reason. Their gravity is so strong they swallow everything, even the light that might betray their presence. The Earth would be destroyed, but the whole planet would not be swallowed up by the black hole. A black hole with a Schwarzschild radius of about a centimeter, which would make it about the size of a coin, would have about the same mass as the Earth. The reason the Earth will be destroyed but not simply swallowed up is that the Earth will be resisting the black hole. The black hole wouldn't have to come all that close to Earth to bring ruin. Just passing through the solar system would distort all of the planet's orbits. Earth might get drawn into an elliptical path that would cause extreme climate swings, or it might be ejected from the solar system and go hurtling to a frigid fate in deep space. Now let's move on to number 7. Number 7. Global war. Together, the United States and Russia still have almost 19,000 active nuclear warheads. Nuclear war seems unlikely today, but a few decades ago, the demise of the Soviet Union also seemed rather unlikely. Political situations evolve. The bombs remain deadly. There is also the possibility of an accidental nuclear exchange, and a ballistic missile defense system, given current technology, will catch only a handful of stray missiles, assuming it works at all. Other types of weaponry could have global effects as well. Japan began experimenting with biological weapons after World War I. Compared with atomic bombs, bioweapons are cheap, simple to produce, and easy to conceal. They are also hard to control, although that unpredictability could appeal to a terrorist organization. Even this could cause the end of the world. Now let's move on to number 6. Number 6. Alien colonization on Earth. For decades, Hollywood films fantasized about what it would be like if the world was suddenly confronted with an alien invasion. From Robert Wise's The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, to Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds, 2005, these movies showed us the unimaginable devastation that would follow in the wake of these alien beings. The main plot of such films invariably revolves around a single question. What would be our response? What would happen if our planet was suddenly confronted by this great menace, superseding our borders, ideologies, race, or creed? The answer, At long last, we would overcome our differences. We would finally act as one, as a species, fighting for our survival. Well, it's all a theory, but what if it happens? Well, humanity stays in the hands of the country's leaders. Will they remove all the borders and come together to fight? Or will it be the end of the world? Now let's move on to number 5. Number 5. Giant solar flares. Solar flares, more properly known as coronal mass ejections, are enormous magnetic outbursts on the sun that bombard Earth with a torrent of high-speed subatomic particles. Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field negate the potentially lethal effects of ordinary flares. But while looking through the old astronomical records, Bradley Schaefer of Yale University found evidence that some perfectly normal-looking sun-like stars can brighten briefly by up to a factor of 20. Schaefer believes these stellar flickers are caused by superflares, millions of times more powerful than their common cousins. Within a few hours, a superflare on the sun could fry Earth and begin disintegrating the ozone layer. Baliunas cites evidence that decreased solar activity contributed to 17 of the 19 major cold episodes on Earth in the last 10,000 years. Now let's move on to number 4. 4. Reversal of Earth's magnetic field. Every few 100,000 years, Earth's magnetic field dwindles almost to nothing for perhaps a century, then gradually reappears with the north and south poles flipped. The last such reversal was 780,000 years ago, so we may be overdue. Worse, the strength of our magnetic field has decreased about 5% in the past century. Why worry in an age when GPS has made compasses obsolete? Well, the magnetic field deflects particle storms and cosmic rays from the sun, as well as more energetic subatomic particles from deep space. Without magnetic protection, these particles would strike Earth's atmosphere, eroding the already beleaguered ozone layer. Now let's move on to number 3. Number 3. Nanotechnology disaster. Before you've even gotten the keyboard dirty, your home computer is obsolete, largely because of incredibly rapid progress in miniaturizing circuits on silicon chips. Engineers are using the same technology to build crude, atomic-scale machines, inventing a new field as they go called nanotechnology. Maybe sooner. It should be possible to build microscopic robots that can assemble and replicate themselves. They might perform surgery from inside a patient, build any desired product from simple raw materials, or explore other worlds. Well, it's not a theory if it's true. All well and good if the technology works as intended. But if it falls in the wrong hand, it could lead to a big disaster. Now let's move on to number 2. Number 2. Robots take over. People create smart robots, which turn against us and take over the world. Yawn. We've seen this in movies, TV, and comic books for decades. After all these years, look around and still, no smart robots. Yet Hans Moravec, one of the founders of the robotics department of Carnegie Mellon University, remains a believer. He predicts machines will match human intelligence and human consciousness. People will download their brains into computer-enhanced mechanical surrogates and log into nearly boundless files of information and experience. What if AI wanted to destroy the world or wanted to create their own world? What if AI starts to control us? Even this event could destroy the world. Now let's move on to number 1. Number 1. Asteroid impact. Once a disaster scenario gets the cheesy Hollywood treatment, it's hard to take it seriously. But there is no question that a cosmic interloper will hit Earth, and we won't have to wait millions of years for it to happen. In 1908, a 200-foot-wide comet fragment slammed into the atmosphere and exploded over the Tunguska region in Siberia, Russia, with nearly 1,000 times the energy of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Astronomers estimate similar-sized events occur every 1 to 3 centuries. And don't forget what happened to dinosaurs. So this finished our countdown of top 10 events that could end the world. I hope you liked this video. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.